What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction. Back with some more Echo and the Bunnymen. And we're returning to the 1987 self-titled album. Thank you again to Amber. And as I've mentioned in previous reactions, after we finish this record, we'll jump back in time. But yes, the next tune in the playlist is Lips Like Sugar. It sounds like a positive assessment. It sounds like they are sweet and perhaps tasty to the touch. Of course, that could be more figurative. It could be just a general statement that someone is desirable and alluring. They have a sweetness to their appearance and or maybe even a sensuality. But of course, there could be some separate meaning or irony at play here. It feels like it could be something that is taken more literally, but also with more nuance, meaning not as positively as it sounds on the surface. So I do wonder what might be at play, but I expect something with metaphor and on some level maybe a positive assessment. I guess we'll find out. This is Echo and the Bunnymen. The track is Lips Like Sugar, and it's from the 1987 self-titled album.
Grace on the water, lips like sugar, lips like sugar. Just when you think you've caught her, she glides across the water. She calls for you tonight to share this moonlight. Just when you think she's yours, she's flown to other shores to laugh at how you break now into this lake. Flow down the river, you'll never give the lips like sugar kisses. Lips like sugar kisses.
different sound. It's less, let's say, edgy than the earliest stuff, but it really has a nice melodic feel to it. And this tune, although in some ways quite different from The Killing Moon, there's elements here that remind me of their sound in that regard, meaning the vocals, they have this scope to them. They're big, but without being belting. I don't know if that makes sense. It has a bit of energy, but it's not terribly up-tempo. Like, it's just in a really good mid-80s, like, synth pop type of place. And as I said, it's different from that song, but it feels like there's some elements that work in a similar way here. And I feel like my intro was maybe not far away in that I think we are talking about a human woman, but also using what seems to be almost like an insect metaphor, not in like a terribly bad way, but saying that like every time you think that she's yours, she sort of flutters and glides across the water and she's gone, and she goes to other shores and, you know, maybe is amused at your perplexity or your sense of maybe injustice. But it feels like a woman who is very alluring, is very attractive, and has these sweet, sugary kisses, but who is perhaps a bit of an elusive mayfly, like a bit of a, like, she doesn't want to be pinned down. You know, she's a butterfly going from place to place wherever she wants. And so it feels like maybe the narrator is indicating that, you know, if you are attracted in this way, don't be surprised when she flies away from you and, you know, is not yours to hold and keep. You know, her sugary kisses are perhaps spread around a little bit. My brain is not working well right now. But yeah, so I feel like there was a bit of that, like, it's a more literal meaning, like very sweet and sugary smooches, but also maybe not as simply and obviously positive as the phrase might have made you think just superficially. So yeah, a cool tune, and one that I especially enjoyed sonically. So it'll be interesting when we finish this album and jump back a little bit to feel, or to see if there's a bridge sonically between the earliest stuff and this album here, which is more overtly, again, like synth pop, relative to the earlier stuff, which had a bit of that like post-punk energy, a more like raw type of sound. So I do wonder about that. Once again, thank you to Amber. Let me know what you think of this one. I will see you next time. Peace.